Welcome to this edition of Peak Performance Podcast with your host, Thor Conklin. Thor will be sharing the necessary tools, strategies, and psychology you'll need to become a peak performer in any area of your life or business.
Welcome back to another episode of the Peak Performance Podcast. I'm your host, Thor Conklin, and I am really excited today to bring you Udo Erasmus. He is an absolute genius in the area of health and fitness. This guy has done over 5,000 live presentations and over 3,000 media interviews. Now it's 3,001. Yeah. I actually had the privilege to be in Fiji a few years ago, and I was going through an event. It was a cleanse event, and for 5 days I lived on his oil. He didn't know this prior to starting the interview, but I'm not the only one. If you've never checked out Udo's oil, it's an amazing product. I want to dig in a little bit about the benefits. And then we actually have a couple of very interesting questions that health and fitness related, but I think we're going to get some philosophy from a world-class philosopher. So, Udo, thank you for being on today. It is an absolute honor to have you here.
Glad to be on. It should be fun.
I love it. So one of the things that I don't think is too widely known, because I really had the opportunity not only to live on your oil for 5 days, and by the way, it's amazing. After literally just having a little bit of soup broth and some Udo's oil for 5 days, I felt absolutely amazing. I dropped about 15 pounds, but the real benefit was the clarity. The brain fog was gone. The energy was just off the charts. And I know about this much of the benefits of just that one product that you have. You actually designed the machinery that extracted the flax seed oil. How did you start? Where did this all come from?
Well, this is my little project, but it started in 1980 when I got poisoned by pesticides. And that came out of my marriage breaking up and me wanting to kill something. So I took a job as a pesticide sprayer. And after 3 years of being very careless, I got poisoned. Wow. And at that point, the doctor said, we don't have anything for pesticide poisoning. So because I had background in biochemistry, genetics, and biological sciences, I decided I'll try and figure it out myself. And so I went into the journals and started reading everything I could about health and nutrition, disease and nutrition, because your body is made out of food plus water and air. So your primary health care comes from raising the standards of what you eat, what you drink, and how you breathe. And so, but I was looking more at nutrition, and I ended up finding out how much damage is done to oils by the way they're processed for the sake of shelf life. And oils are our most sensitive nutrients, omega-3 and omega-6. They're essential. We can't make them, so they have to come from outside. And they are the most sensitive of our essential nutrients, and they should get the most care, but we actually give them the least care because we throw oils in the frying pan, turn them into smoke. And when we do that, the damage done to the oils by this is excessive heat and light and oxygen causes more health problems than any other part of nutrition. Frying is the worst thing we ever invented to do to our food. And when I found that out, I looked at it and I said, I can't get healthy on oils like this. We should be making them with health in mind. It was just an idea. And nobody was doing it. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. And then the year after I got poisoned, while I was thinking about making oils with health in mind, that's the year it was established that omega-3s are essential nutrients. By a very specific definition, you can't make them, you got to have them, you got to get them from outside. If you don't get enough, your health goes down. You get degenerative symptoms. They get worse with time, and if you don't get enough long enough, you die. If you bring them back before you die, then all the problems that come from not getting enough are reversed, and you get your health back because life knows how to make a body that works, provided that you make sure here that all the building blocks it needs land in your body in optimum quantities. And those building blocks, most of them come from food. And And so the timing was for getting poisoned was perfect. So I ended up at the front of the omega-3 parade and making oils with health in mind. Flax oil was my first oil. And then I made a blend because flax oil is poorly balanced, and I actually became omega-6 deficient on it. And so I made a blend that is better balanced and that has all the good stuff you need from oils and avoids all the bad stuff that you should be avoiding from oils. So that's the story. And then we got
good.
Yeah, then we got really excited. Oh my God, we could help so many people. And that was really the thing that got me excited. And I spent 6 to 9 months on the road every year, living out of a suitcase. And we did a tour through the US in the hottest months in a van without air conditioning. And I slept on the floor between the steering wheel and the back. And my driver had built himself a bunk along the back. We had our clothes on a broomstick on the inside of the double doors. And every 2 or 3 days when we'd get totally sticky and sweaty, we'd walk into a Marriott hotel like we owned it and go and clean up there and wash in the showers and wash our clothes in the showers and then pile back into our van and keep going. We did that for 101 days. And it was awesome. We were just so on fire because we could help so many people.
And what is it like now to see your product on store shelves worldwide?
Well, there's a mild satisfaction in that. I don't get all excited and because I'm on to the next thing.
Okay.
So, but is it nice? You know what? When I started, I was really sure I could get it done. I had no doubt that I could get it done. I wasn't so sure about what I wanted out of it and what the business should look like. But I was sure I could get it done and got it done. And the focus was just we could help so many people with their health by doing this thing. And then it started making good money and I got to give a lot of money to charity to make other people's lives better even more. So it's a very nice double whammy. You help make people's lives better and then you make enough money to make some more people's lives better.
That's absolutely beautiful. It's really interesting. As soon as you started this, you said something that is so basic, but it just really struck a chord with me. And that was, I think prior to this interviewing starting today, I looked at food as kind of the energy source that I need to run my body. And you just reframed that the food, the water, and the air are the building blocks that create the body on a daily basis. And
right.
Obviously, that makes total sense.
But they're the energy source too.
Yes.
So you get both structure and function out of your food, water, air, and light.
Yeah, but when you said it, what I realized is if it's just fuel, sometimes we load up with great fuel, sometimes we load up with not so great fuel, but it's fuel, it's burnt, it's done.
Yes.
But when it's the building blocks of your structure of your body, that's a permanent piece, and that every brick, every thing that you lay remains as the building block and part of the structure. So
although to add something to that, every year 98% of the atoms in your body are removed and replaced. Yes. So you're actually a construction site, a major construction site all the time. And why healing is possible is if you built it out of junk and your health isn't working, then you raise your standards. And within a year, your 98% of your body will have been rebuilt to a higher standard.
I absolutely love it. That just really struck with me. Now, the other question that I'm going to ask, not only for myself, but for the audience listening, we all obviously cook. Olive oil is something that a lot of people talk, hey, cook with olive oil, that's way to go. Give us, for those listening on the podcast and not looking at the video, Udo is violently shaking his head. No, don't do that. So I like to eat clean. So I don't fry things, but I will use olive oil to put some chicken in the oven or something. What are the alternatives? What do we do?
Well, if you look at nature, the standard that nature set for every creature that lives here. Fresh, whole, raw, organic. Mostly plant-based, in season, locally grown, sun-ripe or not yet sun-ripe. That's the standard, because we come out of that system. And that system came long before frying pans. Right?
Yes.
The worst thing we have ever invented to do to our food supply is frying. And the research is very clear. When you overheat starches or carbs, when you overheat proteins, when you overheat oils, all three of them are damaged. The molecules change from natural to unnatural. And all three of them increase inflammation and increase cancer, independent of each other. That's what the research says. And the reason, so my recommendation for how you eat, if you have a frying pan, and most of you do, go and get it, pull it out wherever you keep it, turn it upside down, hit yourself on the head with it really hard so it's associated with pain, because that damn thing is going to give you a lot of pain if you keep using it, and throw it out. And then go back to cooking in water. When I was a kid, I'm 77, so when I was a kid, cooking meant heating your food in water. And the other thing with the frying pan was called frying or deep frying. And now when we say cooking, we usually mean frying. So then the meaning of the word cooking has changed. But cooking with water will not burn your foods unless they dry out on the bottom of your pot. And when you don't burn the food, you don't change the molecules from natural to unnatural. Natural is good for you, unnatural is poisonous. Synthetic that never existed in nature very often is poisonous. So in bringing the nutrients in, they need to be in the shape and in the state in which nature made them. Because nature also made you in that system to be made, to your body structure to be made from those molecules. And why poisons are poisonous is because if they didn't exist in nature, life never made a program to take them down. So when you get them in your body, then they become monkey wrenches into the works. And they take up spaces and interfere with processes that need to be going on. So how do you deal with it? Don't put them in there. Don't get them in there in the first place. Live in line with nature. Everything that makes us sick comes from living out of line with nature, whether it's mentally or physically or spiritually or environmentally or socially. Living out of line with nature is where all our problems come from.
And I know you have some interesting thoughts along this very topic here, and how modern society has really kind of goofed some things up and is really getting in the way of our happiness. And it's interesting because I never thought the conversation was going to go that way, but when I was going through your bio, I was like, I've got to ask the happiness question. What are we doing, and what do we need to do less of, more of, stop, or start?
Well, let's see. I wrote a book called The Book on Total Sexy Health, The 8 Key Parts Designed by Nature. That's my newest thing. And the reason I wrote it that way is that when you think about it, and this is slowly built up for me over the years that I've been talking and studying health, there isn't anything on this planet that does not affect health. So politics affects health, and your environment affects health, and how you think affects health, and what you believe affects health, and what you eat affects health, and whether you sleep enough affects health, and how who you hang out with affects your health. So literally everything affects health. So you have to, if you want to live a full life, you have to give every part its due. And there are 8 parts. Number 1, internal awareness. That requires you to sit still, close your eyes, let go of all your distractions, and just bring your awareness inside to its source to feel what it feels like to be you. And that's deep. That's going deep. Meditation, self-knowledge, some practice that gets you quiet, that gets you to go deeper inside. Very important, because that's where your peace lives. That's where your love comes from. That's where your presence is. That's where you feel whole. That is the wholeness of your existence. The second one that comes out of that is life energy. And life energy, you know, what is that? Life energy, the thing that when it separates from your body is finished. Life energy, right? And that comes from the sun, and it goes into the bonds between atoms to make molecules, and plants do most of that work. And then we eat the food and we break down those bonds and the energy is released. That's what we live on. But when you experience it subjectively inside of your own being, that's your, there you see light. If you look into the darkness inside long enough, you will see light there. That is the light of life. You are that light. And that light by religious people is called the master. Life runs everything, weighs nothing, runs everything, is all powerful, all knowing, and everywhere present in your body. So the religious guys who talk about the subjective experience of presence in their life are talking about that same energy that on the outside we call sunlight. Only this time you're being that light instead of looking at that light. So that's the second. The third is inspiration, and that's an extension of the life energy. You can't be inspired and depressed at the same time. When you're in touch with the energy that is your life and your power, you have energy, you feel that energy, and you're good to go. And there's no thoughts in those three experiences, in inspiration, in life energy, and internal awareness. The most neglected part of anything that human beings do is we don't take the time. You know, we say, work hard, play hard. And to balance that, I say, you also need to do nothing hard. So be intensely still and go intensely deep and see how deep you can go and see how long you can stay there, and be open to discover what there is in you that you have not yet discovered. And you find out that everything you're looking for in the outside, you actually already got on the inside. So, and then number 4 is physical body. That's food and fitness. It's also sleep and exercise. It's also rest. It's also detox. Those are the main parts and it's really important part is digestion. So that's number 4. Number 5 is survival smarts. And that's preemptive. You create safety, and not preemptively. You want to learn skills for the kinds of crises that can happen wherever you are, whether it's floods or earthquakes or fires or whatever it is. You want to be competent in that. It helps to be able to be in your power, to have the confidence to deal with crises as well. So that's number 5. Number 6 is social group. And that is usually a balance between your uniqueness and your and belonging. Or, you know, people like you to conform if you're part of a group. But so there's always a balance you need to find between maintaining your individuality and being in line with the group. And if the group does not allow for your uniqueness, you should not be in that group. It's not about group loyalty, because it's about people using their gifts, their unique gifts, to make things work better for everybody. And then the next one is nature. And you know the story about what we're doing to nature. We're definitely under threat because of what we've done to nature. And then the last one is the big picture. I call that infinite awareness. Infinite awareness is an extension of internal awareness. And that's kind of like, well, here I am. I'm a very small human being, you know, in the scheme of things. I live in an infinite universe. I'm a small being in a body that is temporary. And to know that and to accept it and to be okay with it and to live full on present in my entire being and my surroundings is the cherished state.
I love that. You know, so much of that, whether it was 1, 2, 3, number 8, is really about being present.
Yes.
And that is something that so few have the ability to do nowadays.
Right. Well, we all have the ability.
Well, yes, I'm sorry, you're right.
What we don't do is practice. Because you get good at what you practice.
See, I love that about you. It's like, no, I don't agree with that. And I would have objected to my own comment. You're absolutely right. The ability is there.
Yeah. Now here's the, what the coolest thing is? The people don't practice going inward because they don't know their need for it. But the need is obvious. It's called heartache. When it hurts here?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Maybe somebody dumped you and you didn't wish she hadn't or he hadn't, and your heart aches.
Yep.
That's not about the person who dumped you. It's about whenever that happens, whenever something on the outside ends, and everything on the outside ends. Something on the inside does not. Whenever something on the outside ends, we fall back to our default state of our disconnection from our own being. Yeah. And it's the thirst of the heart to feel whole, to be one, to be present. That ache is the thirst for it. And just like hunger gets you to eat food, if you're not hungry, you can have a food fight because you don't value food. The same thing is when your heart aches. That's your heart calling your attention, your awareness to come back home to presence. Okay? And we think it's something else. We're not clear about that. When you become clear that when your heart hurts, you need to sit with it and slide behind it, because that far behind it, that far, is everything you're looking for. All your wholeness is that far behind it. And if it wasn't, I call this ache in the heart, I call that the greatest gift you've been given other than being alive. Because if it wasn't for that thing pulling you back, you'd get lost in your thoughts and lost in your trippies and you would never find your way back. And this thing will nag you all your life until you figure out what it is and then respond to it and literally sit with it and get quiet and feel it. Don't judge it. It won't hurt you. It won't kill you. But you will slide through that into your wholeness, coming back home to yourself. That happens automatically when you die. So when most people, when they die, they actually come back home to life, which is kind of like, wait, you just died and you're coming back to life? Yeah, not like that. But you're coming back to life because you spent most of your life spaced out from it, not in touch with it. And when you're in touch with your life, the quality that you get of your life, come hell or high water, with all the dramas and all the traumas and all the stuff that goes on, you can have the unbelievably most incredible life simply because you're present in its magnificence.
What is the actual process or steps to come back and connect? Is it sitting in a quiet place and reflecting on something? Is there a process? I understood exactly what you said, but is there a process or something that can be followed in order to connect back to the heart?
Okay, let me answer that question in two ways. One is, the first thing is you need to understand the nature of heartache. So that requires a reframe. And I would say my job is to reframe that. That's a gift, that you need to sit with that gift and unwrap it. That's number one. The second is, if you understand that this is your heart calling your awareness to come back home to life, then you have to accept that you want to fulfill that. So number one, you need to acknowledge the need. You need to understand its nature. Then you need to say, yeah, I actually want to feel whole. I want to go the route that I need to go to feel whole. And then you can either sit with it, maybe read some books about it, maybe talk to somebody who's doing some kind of a practice, maybe find yourself a teacher, maybe find yourself a master, someone who has mastered this journey, who can give you some guidance. But the most important thing is, it's not his journey, it's your journey. So the important thing is you bring as much to the meeting between you and the master as the master does. Because if a master comes with all of this knowledge experiential knowledge that he has on this topic, and you're not open to learn, he can't do anything for you. So you bring as much to you in being clear that you want to know what you are deeper. That's as important as his knowledge of helping you and reminding you. And it will always be your actually wanting to go there that will make, I just watched Arnold this morning talking about you have to have a vision. So you have to have a vision, and you have to not listen to the naysayers. You have to have a vision. You have to want, if you say, look, I was born whole because I don't remember not feeling whole when I was like really small. I was just running around and, getting to know the world. But you were whole for 9 months while you were in your mother's belly, right? I call it the Buddha tank, right? Because why? Because there's nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. It's safe and everything's taken care of. What are you going to do when you're in that situation? Well, when you're in your mother, if you're out here and it's like that, you're probably going to go out looking for trouble, right? But when you're in your mother's womb, there's nothing to do. So you're basically hanging out, floating on your little cord in your little ocean, right? And your awareness is at rest in its source, inside of your being. And you're whole. And when you come to that, as an adult, when you come back to that Buddha state or Christ state or whatever, Krishna state, whatever you call it, or wholeness or peace, when you come back to that state, it will feel very familiar because it is not strange to you. You've been there, right? So the steps are, the most important thing is you want more from your life. Everybody already wants more, but you want more from the inside, that you recognize what you're looking for on the outside is actually on the inside. You came loaded with it. You forgot that you came loaded with it. Your awareness took you out into the world because you had to get to know it. You got disconnected from that. So you disconnect led to discontent. Discontent is another word for the ache of the heart. That's where it started. Then you look for distractions, with in money or adventures or things that you pursue. And when they dry up, you're back to your, oh my God, I lost my connection to myself. So it's a feeling of loss, but it's the feeling of loss of myself that is that feeling. Because when I feel whole and my girlfriend dumps me, I wish her well, because I don't have to have her. She is not the purpose of my life. My life is the purpose of my life. And when you have that amount of independence simply because you are whole and you feel it, everything becomes a lot easier. Everything becomes a lot easier. And yes, you'll still miss somebody when they die. It's not like you become feelingless. But it's different. It's different because you don't lose yourself. Once you find yourself and you know where to go to be whole, then whenever you don't feel whole, you can just go there because now you know the track. Right? Yeah. And it's not something on the outside that will take you home. That's your work of moving your awareness, of becoming better and better with practice, of moving your awareness back inside to where your wholeness has been living every day of your life, waiting for you.
Yeah, I see a lot of people do this with all kinds of different things. I mean, at the end of the day, we're looking for the emotion, and people will find it either in distractions or sedation, or in money or careers, or love, relationships. It's always that thing of trying to find that thing or that person that will make you whole. I hate the phrase "my better half," which presupposes that you're only half and you're not whole without it.
And then here's where that's not fair. So my heart aches, or I call it lonely now, right? So I call it lonely. I've got 10 pages of different words people use for the same feeling. So now I call it lonely. I'm looking for a girlfriend. I find a girlfriend. And I see the beauty in her before she ever opens her mouth. Maybe she sees it in me too, because we both do it, right? And then I have the expectation, because I see that in her. I have the expectation that she will be my better half, or that she will fulfill me. And guess what? Nobody on the outside can fulfill you, because fulfill means on the inside. You're filled full of something. You can't do that from the outside. And so I put a burden on the relationship that the relationship cannot carry. I put an expectation on the relationship that the relationship cannot fulfill. And that's what happened to me in my major relationship. You know, I couldn't get to the love inside of me to bring it into the relationship. She couldn't get to the love inside of her to bring it into the relationship. And then the question you got to ask is, well, where the hell is the love in the relationship supposed to come from if neither of the people have done their homework to get in touch with the love that is in both of us? And that's what's wrong with relationships.
I love it. All right, let me ask you this. You know, men and women were wired a little differently. People say that women have it easier.
Not much. 0.3%, 90 genes out of 23,000.
Let's say maybe we behave a little differently.
No. Here's the thing.
You know where the question's going.
No, we're 99.7% the same and 0.3% different. The 99.7% the same makes relationship possible, and the 0.3% difference makes it interesting. But if you give the 0.3% difference all of the attention, then it's like men are from Mars and women are from Venus.
Yeah.
We're not that different. You know, we have the same number of bones, the same number of muscles. You know, the brain is. I mean, there's small differences, and one of them has to do with when a woman gets pregnant, she basically spends 20 years tied up, and a man can come and go. Yeah. Right. Yes. And that's a difference when people are not mature, when men are not mature.
Which happens a lot nowadays.
Oh, it's happened a lot throughout history.
I hear more complaints. It's like
it happened in my relationship too.
Yeah, I've certainly evolved quite a bit as a man.
Yeah.
The question was, you know, is it easier for women to connect back to the heart than men? And I was going to ask the question, and I'm like, you know what? I want to see if because there is a difference between feminine energy and masculine energy.
Yeah, you want to be a victim of women's advantage. No, I'm just kidding. No, because, you know, and sometimes people say, and it's harder now because we have so many distractions. But you know what? You only need one distraction to get disconnected from yourself. Yeah. So you can be a monk in a monastery, and you've simplified your life, and you know, you just do anything, you don't do anything except eat and pee and sleep and meditate, right? And you're sitting at your window and a woman walks by. You only need one distraction, right? It could be your cell phone, or it could be a woman, or it just needs one distraction, because there's only one place, there's only one way to be present, or one location to be present, and everything else is distraction. Yeah. It's not different for women than for men. Women get distracted too. Women maybe a little more physical, but for a woman to practice something that gets her in touch with her heart takes about the same effort as it does for a man. They get better with practice. Men get better with practice. And when women get disconnected, you know all the quips that people have about when women get mad, and when women, do you know what I mean? Right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So so I don't think it's different, because the heart is the same. The heart's neither male nor female. Yep. Okay. So the heart's the same. And the awareness is the same. And the movement of awareness outward is the same as children. And the movement back inward deliberately, we're not going to drift back inside. It has to be deliberate for both genders as well. I think I would say women are in some ways becoming more like men because of, we call it equality. I had a professor once who he asked him, do you believe in equality between men and women? And he said, well, if equality between men and women means that women are now going to do all the same stupid things that men have been doing for centuries, then I'm against equality. It's like, okay, yeah, it's like, what's it about?
And I'll contend that women are becoming more like men, or stepping up, having to do a lot with men are, because as men, I think many have dropped the ball on what it's like to be a man and to be able to give that protection, that security. A lot of them are running around acting like little girls, and I strongly believe that. And women are strong beings, and if if men in their lives are not going to step up and be the man, they'll take care of it. And
to some extent, that's true. When women can't depend on men, they do the men's stuff as well as men can.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
I agree.
Absolutely. Well, this certainly took a fascinating twist. Thank you very much. I mean, this is really good stuff. I'm completely on board with that fulfillment, getting back. And I know personally for myself, I don't spend enough time really quiet and really disconnecting.
Yeah, you know, all the changes, all the problems that we've created on the planet have come out of discontent. So first came disconnection, then came discontent, then came action that created problems. We will not fix those problems if we don't first get reconnected and feel whole. Because from discontent to feeling whole, that state of being change is huge. And from the state of being of wholeness, fixing the problems in the world is not very complicated. But without a change in our state of being, we're not even going to do it. We're just going to create more stuff. So, when people say, oh yeah, environment is climate change is the biggest thing. No, we are the biggest thing. We are the biggest problem because we created that. That's just one of our jobs, one of our badly done jobs, right?
Yep.
So the first job is homework, to become fully present, because then we will feel so taken care of by life, because we are perfectly taken care of. Life loves the body unconditionally. There is your model for unconditional love. When we feel taken care of, then we don't need more, so we won't steal each other's stuff. When we don't steal each other's stuff, we can live in harmony. When we live in harmony, it doesn't take much to make sure that every human being's basic needs are taken care of on a long-term sustainable basis. But without doing the homework, none of that's going to happen.
You want to run for president?
No. No, I'll tell you why.
We could use you, man. We could use you.
No, but I'll tell you why. I'll run for teacher.
All right.
No, I'll tell you why not for president. You get into the presidency, you get into trying to, you live in the States, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Constitution, as beautiful as it is, because it's a very well thought through document, but it is a flawed document. All documents are flawed. And so what happens, you get into the presidency, you got to go by the Constitution, and you got to go by historical precedents, and you got to go by legal precedents, and you get into, you can't drain the swamp when you're in the swamp. You can't. So when you become president, you've gone into the swamp. The changes will not come from the government. The changes will come from you as an individual and who you affect as an individual. And it will come from 8 billion people living their lives lit up from within. And that's all homework. And changing the presidency that they practice in their own trench. My view is life is the president, life is the master, life is the dictator, life is the is the ruler. And being in touch with the same ruler, every one of us can actually be the one who makes sure that everything works in our little sphere of influence. And we're all following the same master. The master's called life. But you got to be in touch with the master. And when you have questions about living, maybe you need to talk to life. Maybe you don't need to run to the experts. Maybe you need to talk to life. But to talk to life, you need to be able to sit still and listen and watch and feel what it feels like. And out of that, everything gets transformed. That's the transformation, the big transformation everybody's looking for. Second coming, when you recognize what we're chasing on the outside is actually already on the inside. And when we become good and familiar with that, the world will be transformed by the thinking and the speaking and the actions that come out of this wholeness state of being.
You're a beautiful soul. There is nothing I can add to that or would even attempt to.
Yeah.
Please let the audience know how they can get more information about what you're doing.
Well, UdoErasmus.com. The oil is called Udo's Oil. You can get that off Amazon. Yeah, well, you can get that off the website too. Just keep your eyes open. I'm around. I'm doing quite a bit of stuff, and it's my pleasure that I get to do this. I had the good fortune to be born in a war, so that got me focused very early on there must be a way that people can live in harmony, and I'm going to find out how. I was 6 years old when I made that commitment. So that's been my driver all my life into science and why I'm interested in everything. And that's been my driver, because if you're going to figure that out, you have to really be able to get what are the basic causes. And the basic cause, first of all, we're the only problem on the planet, and second, our core problem is our disconnection from ourselves. And when that gets put back together, everything will change.
Absolutely love it.
All
well,
right.
Thank you very much. And I look forward to having you back on the show.
All right, Thor. Thank you.
Thank you.
It was fun.